Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Naviage podcast. I am joined by special guest Louise, and we're going to delve into the untrodden path of entrepreneurism, and we're going to have some insightful conversation. So, welcome.
Thank you for
How are
this
you
invite.
feeling?
Really exciting. I'm great. Thank you.
Good, good. So, we're going to dive into the deep end. What does an unconventional path mean to you?
I think an unconventional path is something that you wouldn't have necessarily expected or that you didn't necessarily study for. Yeah, we all when we're young, we all have this idea of like ourselves. We imagine like what we're gonna be. We're like, yeah, in 10 years, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna do that. And yeah, for me, an unconventional career path is actually not getting to or doing something different than what you would have thought 10 years later. So yeah.
Yes, yes. And that's a brilliant definition. And is there anything that has made you feel equipped or made you feel more suited to an unconventional path?
I think what has made me feel more suited is I'd say like first through my studies in university. So basically, I studied hospitality and finance, but when I went into this path, I knew that basically I was learning more about the execution of a business, whether it's in the hospitality industry or not. So this has been very helpful. I think also like the connections, your friends, your network, that you develop through time, is definitely shaping your career path in a way or another.
Yeah.
Whether we realize it or not, actually. And after it's, I guess, through the like your personal learning and development. So reading books or subscribing to a newsletter that you're interested in, listening to a podcast that interests you, that can like really open doors in your mind and help you think a bit outside the box or outside of what was originally planned, I guess.
Wow, amazing, amazing. And there was so much to unpack in what you just said. So I want to start off by asking about your education. What did you do,
Mm-hmm.
and did you find it helped you in the practical side of life?
Yeah, so I always had in mind starting my business one day or the other, which is why I decided to pursue this university path. I was also very passionate about the hospitality industry. I mean, I still am.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though I studied hospitality, I was also able to specialize in corporate finance,
Wow.
which has been like really helpful, especially when you start your business on your own. And I had a lot of other classes that helped me develop business skills, such as like human resources classes, marketing classes. So of course, finance classes. What else? Entrepreneurship as well. So yeah, all in all, this has definitely helped me. When decided to start my business, I definitely digged into my notes, and I was very lucky to be a thorough student and to find these notes. Yeah, and yeah, so it has been really helpful. Mm-hmm.
And that is incredible. How did you manage to juggle all of the classes and all of the different things that comes with what you studied? Because it's such a broad
Yeah.
field.
Um, yeah, it's really broad, and also what I liked is that they would give you like a lot of projects, like for each class. So it was very intense, whether it's like personal or like group projects. So it really like teaches you to work with other people,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily like it doesn't teach you necessarily to manage other people, but to kind of manage your expectations and like everyone to recognize everybody's skills and like their strengths. I mean, how did I manage to juggle everything? I think it's first of all, it was over like a 4 year course of times.
Yeah.
It's And the classes are designed basically, like the curriculum is designed so that it kind of like complements each other, as the semester go, and you build on the skills you learned from the previous semester. I also I was lucky because our universities was quite small. The classes were max 50 people in a class, so
Oh,
you had
okay.
really, yeah, you could really benefit from the teacher's help, whether it's like for your own work, like personal work, or like a
Yeah.
group project, or for the dissertation that you have to write at the end of the 4 years. So yeah, I think yeah, that's how I managed, and like hard work, obviously.
Yes, yes, hard work. I can attest to that, knowing you and seeing what
Yeah.
you've done. And can I ask, were you always driven and very focused on what you wanted to do? Was hospitality and finance something that you knew you wanted to run with as soon as you knew that it was something that you
Yeah.
wanted to do? Or did it take you time to figure out what you wanted to do?
I think when I was in high school, I wasn't the best student at all. I kind of like hated
Wow,
it. Yeah,
really?
I was like passing the class, but like right at the average mark. I was never like doing any effort
Yeah.
or anything.
Hmm.
And when I joined my university, I think that's when I started to like really love learning. So the topic, of course, when you choose a topic, that interests you.
Yes.
In high school, we're kind of like all forced to like learn what we have to learn.
So many things.
Uh, exactly, but like when you choose something you're passionate about, I think it makes it like really easier.
Yes.
Also, I discovered that I mean, I thought I was bad in math, and when I was in high school,
Yeah.
and then when I started like really liking like everything related to accounting and corporate finance, so it made me realize that actually I'm not bad at all in math.
Yes.
And it also, I mean, it helps, like to learn it and to be good at it. I don't believe you can be good in something that you hate
Hmm.
doing, or I wouldn't be able to. So yeah, that definitely made it easier for me, and it made the switch in my brain. That's really when I became hardworking.
Yes. Wow. So you
Yeah,
found something you're passionate about and that
yeah,
turned a switch. Wow, that's incredible.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
in your education, what challenges did you face that you weren't expecting?
What challenges? I'd say, I mean, throughout in my university, basically you have, and most hospitality universities have the same system. You have to do like two 6 months internships throughout the 4 years of study. So that's why actually
Wow.
it's 4 years and not 3 year bachelor, because you have twice 6 months of internship.
Yes.
So I think what I didn't expect is like how hard it is to find a job or an internship when you have zero experience. Even
Preach.
though my university is very, I mean, it's very well known in the hospitality field.
Yes.
Everybody knows about it and has a
Mhm.
very good reputation. And I had good grades and everything. I think it's very hard to find a job. I was really lucky actually to have this preparation, because they help you like shape your CV. They give you interview advice, basically like the research you need to do on the company, how to best sell your skills. They help you reflect on yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses?
Mhm.
And how to sell yourself, basically. So yeah, this is something I didn't expect. It's quite hard to find an internship. It's also, I mean, mentally, it is hard as well, because we always want, you always have
Things straight away.
um, yeah, a goal is in mind, like, oh, I want to work for this company, and then it ends up like not working out.
Yeah.
Or in the end, you realize maybe you get the job and it was like your dream job, and you realize, oh my God, like I want to leave now,
Yes.
like what did I do? So yeah, so yeah, I'd say like that's the biggest thing. Hmm.
That's incredible. And it is a struggle for young people and also people just looking for a job in general when you don't have experience
Yeah.
in what you want to go into, whether that's you
Mm,
want to enter or you want to make a switch. And you are fortunate to have a team now for your brand
mm,
and your business. What is something
yeah.
that you look for when you're looking at CVs and when you are trying to hire someone?
So, I mean, if to be honest, when I'm looking at CVs, before I thought like experience and studies and all of that would be important. When it was
Yeah.
myself, I
Yes.
was like, oh, I need to put like all my university, all my job experience. Now I think that it's more about like the executive like summary at the top, or like the most recent experience. Is it
Hmm.
relevant? Or can I see this person bring something based on their experience, to my business? And after,
Yes.
of course, it's meeting the person because from my experience, like half the time you have an amazing CV, but then you speak to the people and you're like, okay, this is not going to work out. It's
Hmm.
not like nothing personal. It's just, like it's just
Not the
cultures
best fit.
or
Yeah.
yeah, it's sometimes, yeah, it's not the best fit. And so yeah, but what I would look primarily is like for the skills, that I'm looking to add to my business. And does this person have the skills? Are they also able to bring something else to the table? Whether, it's like from personal experience, something like not work related,
Mhm.
something they did, some like another perception basically on the business to help me like think outside the box. And yeah, that would be the main things. Mm.
That's incredible. And it was very interesting that you talked about how the executive summary is very important. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to people that honestly don't know where to start or how to condense such an important thing in such few words? What advice would you give?
Yeah. So I would tell them to focus on and to tailor it to, it's kind of like a pitch at the end of the day, you're
Yeah.
pitching yourself. So I would tailor it definitely to the job you're sending it to. I would not send something that's generic. I would carefully do the research and really analyze like the position you're applying to, what are the skills required, what skills do you have,
Yeah.
why do you think you would be the best fit,
Hmm.
what do you have to bring to the table, but also like how do you want to benefit from this experience, because at the end of the day, unless you're applying for, I don't know, like a CEO position, you're like part of the job is like execution, but it's also like learning and
Hmm.
for your own development. So yeah, and I would keep it short, like 5 sentences that really get to the point. Actually, even like the whole CV, even if you have like a very extensive experience,
Yeah.
I would keep it on one page and make it like very digestible,
Hmm.
because people who interview for jobs, they receive like 100 CVs, and when the CVs are like more than one page long, you never read everything. So
Yes.
I would just like pick and select what experience you have, or what skills that are like the most appropriate for the position you're applying for, and kind of like tailor and personalize your CVs, in this way.
Thank you. That's incredible.
Mhm.
That's incredible. And as you've mentioned, in
Yeah.
your uni experience, you did 6 months, 6 month. And I
Yeah.
know that you worked at a consultancy and that you also were an
Yes.
operational analysis. What
Yeah.
what did you learn? What did you gain from that experience? And do you have any regrets?
Um, I mean, I don't have any regrets per se. It was TGP Consulting it's a small consulting firm that specializes in the food and beverage industry. So basically, clients come to them to develop restaurant concepts,
Hmm.
implement them, and like run them. So sometimes like manage the restaurants, on behalf of like the owners.
Okay.
So it was really interesting actually to put like the skills I've learned in uni into practice, and also see from the inside how a business operates. how restaurants, mostly restaurants or bars, see what goes into like the cost, how do they hire the staff as well,
Mm-hmm.
how do they deal with the purchasing, because like in the restaurant case, when you deal with like perishable items, it's not an easy exercise to do your purchasing. It's like it's totally an art. So yeah, and I learned a lot from the team actually who was working there, because they all had like tremendous experience, whether it was in like the restaurant design, like e-commerce, marketing, operations. So yeah, that was really really interesting experience.
That's amazing. And was it difficult to find a work-life balance, or were you able to manage that as well as you did in uni with classes?
Um, so at the beginning, it was all right. I think where I struggled the most with my work-life balance was when I started working for Four Seasons, around it was like 7 years ago. My God, time flies by.
It
Basically,
does.
yeah. So basically, when you study hospitality, everybody tells you should do an opening of a hotel. The best way to learn is to do an opening. I was like, okay, so I got this amazing job opportunity to join the finance team, to open the Four Seasons at 10 Trinity Square in
Mhm.
London.
Wow.
And yeah, it was such a beautiful experience. I mean, beautiful and a bit traumatizing, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I learned so much. It's true when they say like it's the best thing you can do, is work on an opening, because basically you have nothing and everything has to be done, and it's not like you cannot ask anyone. You just have to like find a solution on the spot and make it happen.
Yes.
Um, and it was very intense. Like I was working 10, 12 hours a day sometimes,
Wow.
because we were, yeah, under pressure for the opening, which has been like, I mean, which has been delayed, obviously,
Yes.
or which, like there were always problems occurring, and so this was very intense. I had no work-life balance,
That's the truth.
and
That's the reality.
yeah, that's the reality. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think it's a bad habit that I took, because after I left and I went to work as a revenue management analyst for 2 years and a half,
Mhm.
in City. And I think there as well, there I could have had like a better work-life balance, but I was still working intensely, focusing on my targets.
Yeah.
I became, yeah, really like obsessed with my company's targets. My
Mhm.
my salary was not at all, or my salary or bonuses were not at all reflective of the money I was generating for the business through my work. But I
Yes.
was still like so obsessed with it.
Mhm.
And I think that's after 2 years and a half, I was going to the gym during my lunch breaks, actually. That's the
Wow.
only like work-life balance I had. Like I
That's
was
a good
like
habit.
I was running to the gym to like let some steam off. But
Yeah.
after a while, I was just like, I don't think I can do this anymore,
Yes.
basically. So yeah.
And so I want to ask you this: what motivates you to work? Is it money? Is it finance? Is it self-drive? What is it that motivates Louise to work? Whether that's for someone else
Yeah.
or for yourself.
I think when I do things, I like to do them well. So doing a good job actually, and bringing satisfaction to people, whether it's like customers, like stakeholders in the business. This is definitely a drive. After, I mean, we all need one thing, to survive, and it's money,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Yes.
And so definitely, money is a drive, and it's a part of it. I wouldn't say it's everything, because money is a mean, not an end, basically. So
Agreed.
yeah, so money for me is like a mean to pay my employees better, to live a better life,
Yes.
to develop better products, to have like nicer marketing communication, to have
Yeah.
nice PR articles and all of that. and to build a sustainable business, like all in all. So yeah, and I think the fulfillment I get from like having my own business, seeing my like the impact directly, basically like seeing the impact of my work
Yes.
and receiving, the benefit of it. This is ultimately the biggest drive, I think.
That's incredible. And a lot of people are like yourself, but they don't know that about
Mm.
themselves. So they try and
Yeah,
motivate themselves based off what other people think should motivate them. So it's amazing that you
yeah,
shed light on fulfillment being an important part of that. Thank you.
yeah.
And
Thank
your
you.
brand, I'm a very big fan of. I have used your
Mm-mm.
sample to the max,
Yes.
to the brim, and I will be making purchases in future. Hint, hint to everyone listening. Your brand is
Yes.
Dead Sea Dream, and you took a career
Yes.
break to
Mm-hmm.
pursue it further. What led you
Mm-hmm.
to make the career break when you did?
So what led me to make the career break is that basically, so as I said before, like I was working as a revenue management analyst,
Yeah.
and after 2 years and a half, I was just like, I didn't see any like growth prospect within my company.
Okay.
Um, all of the other job offers that I would have or that would interest me were in the same field, doing more or less the same thing, just for different people.
Yes.
So it wasn't really exciting me. So I decided to take a break. I was also like, I wanted to basically focus on my mental health,
It's
on my
important.
personal like work life balance and
Yeah.
everything. Kind of like take a breath in my career and think of what I really wanted to do. Um, and so basically, as I'm also like half French, half Israeli, so I've been to the Dead Sea region very often. I really loved how like the impact of Dead Sea minerals on my skin, on my hair. And I would bring products back for myself, for my friends, for my family.
Yes.
So that's where the like basically the idea of doing my own business around like Dead Sea cosmetics came around. At first, I wanted to do a marketplace, basically,
Okay.
like selling in Europe cosmetics products like from the Dead Sea and brands that you can only find in the Middle East. I quickly realized that this wasn't going to be a sustainable like business venture. So first of all, because the brands that are sold here are not very like their branding is not very engaging. Also, they are not sold in Europe for a reason. It's because they're not like compliant
Mm-hmm.
with EU or UK cosmetics regulations.
Yeah.
And basically, like doing this, becoming compliant is a huge financial strain because you have to register the products, you have to make sure all the ingredients are compliant, you have to label the products in the country's language, so at least in
Yeah.
English. Some of these products are not even labeled in English.
Yes.
You need to do like tests for each of these products, and also the margins. As you're in a marketplace, you kind of become the middleman. Your
Yes.
margins are much smaller, so that was my original idea. And realizing that it wasn't going to work made me made me basically work towards that dream and creating my own brand. And yeah, that's how it all started.
It's it's incredible how much you pivoted. Was it scary when you were pivoting? Did it feel right? Were you scared of judgment? That pivot has obviously led you on a greater path, might I say.
Yeah.
Was there any doubt in changing not drastically, but in a different direction?
Yeah, so there's definitely, I mean, there is definitely the scare of stability,
Yes.
and you also like from one day to the other, you don't have a secure revenue stream. You don't work from 9 to 5 like your other friends. So when you
Yes.
meet them after work, you don't have the same thing to talk about anymore. It's hard to relate to most of like your surroundings, unless which is very unlikely.
Yes.
I mean, me personally, it's not the case unless all your surrounding is like entrepreneurs, which
Yes.
I wish
We're
sometimes,
far and
but
near.
yeah, Yeah, but yeah, so it can be very lonely, very daunting. It can be also very hard to like self motivate yourself
Hmm.
in the beginning, especially when you don't have like a fixed idea or a fixed goal, when you're still brainstorming.
Yes.
It can be very hard to motivate yourself to do the work every day. After, yeah, it is a very lonely place, but you need to, I think, you need to have enough like self-confidence and like confidence in your business and the research you've done and
Yes.
basically like where you've come so far to believe in yourself and never, I mean, there are always going to be people, who everybody has an opinion basically.
Yes.
And I think that sometimes there are some feedback that are interesting to listen to, when developing your brand or your product, but not all feedback is useful. Yeah. So I think believing in yourself, believing in what you want to create or accomplish is essential, like as a drive. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That is, I do agree with that completely.
Mm.
And I also know that support goes a long way. Would you say that you felt
Yes.
supported and that's what led you to feel confident? Or would you say that you were your support in the decision that you made?
So I think so my family was definitely a big support.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have done it if they didn't support me. My friends as well were really, really big support. They when you have like good friends, good friends are the ones that basically act as a devil's advocate. They don't say things that you want to hear, but they
Yes.
like challenge you, and I think like challenging you like makes you stronger. After like there are like smart ways to challenge someone, and it's not about saying only negative stuff. It's just about like asking questions and how are you
Hmm.
going to do this and what about
Yes.
this and have you thought
Yes.
of that, and it can like open your horizon. So this definitely helped. Also speaking and like networking, going out of your comfort zone, basically like networking with people that have a similar path or an experience that can be beneficial to your business, asking them questions. And I believe that if you have a solid business idea, if you've done your research, if you're open-minded, and if you're
Yeah.
driven, these people like will be, I mean, willing to listen to you and to help you in the best way they can, along your journey. So this is also very empowering. Mm.
That's incredible. It is empowering. It is empowering. And
Yeah.
networking, I know from the very little experience that I've had, I say
Yeah.
humbly, but I know that networking does go a long way emotionally, mentally. It really helps you gain perspective and it helps you learn, continuously learn. So
Yeah, I totally agree.
in
Hmm.
that regard, there's a lot of things that inspire us, influence us. You mentioned that you are half French, half Israeli, and
Yeah.
I know that you speak 5 languages. What influences
Yeah.
has the places that you are from and that are important to you? What influences
Mm.
have they had on you as a person, and what influences have they had on your business?
I think the greater influence is the capacity to adapt and also to realize that things are done differently and people live different lives in different part of the world, and to respect that and to be open-minded.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely from living in France, in the UK, in Switzerland, and in Israel, the biggest takeaway from it is the capacity to adapt, to any situation. And I think it's also like a vital skill for an entrepreneur, because every day you have to wear a different hat and speak with like people from different background and make sure that everything goes smoothly. So yeah, definitely a great skill to have. Mm-hmm.
I agree. I do agree. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it must be a great tool to be able to speak multiple languages. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, it is because basically when you, I love learning languages because when you learn a language, uh, you don't only learn like the language, you learn like the soul of the country. I don't know if it
Oh,
makes
I like
sense. Like the
that.
soul of the culture. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
It's a lot.
yes,
It's a lot about expressions, and for instance, in France, we can have like expressions. If you say them in English, they would be like really rude.
yes, it's
So you see,
different.
you yeah, it's very different. And in like also in Chinese as well. Like for instance, you don't like people are less direct, that they even less like direct that they would be in the UK. So for me,
Yes.
it's really interesting, like learning the soul of the culture through the language, yeah, as well, and yeah.
That's incredible. And so, what message would you tell young people who are scared to learn a new language? Because I will admit, it is intimidating to learn a language that you have
Mm.
no idea about. And for some people, it's beyond how they've grown up. So, what advice would you give to people that want to learn a language but they're scared?
So I would choose, like, first of all, like a language that interests you. Don't learn a
Okay.
language just for the sake of it.
Okay.
Don't be like, I don't
Important.
I like for instance, like I took Spanish classes, but I don't know, I was just not getting into it, even though,
Yes.
and I could have said, oh, half the world speak Spanish, I need to know Spanish, if I have to learn a language.
Yes.
But I think, yeah, like choose a culture that interests you, and a language that interests you. You need to make time for it because it's about consistency. It's not about deciding it one day, but it's basically making space in your life for it. So
Yes.
if you decide to do something, you have to be like, okay, from now on, every week, like, I don't know, every Wednesday afternoon,
Hmm.
I just learned this. And finding the right teacher. I mean, when learning anything, finding the right teacher is like key, of course.
Yes.
And
Very
but there are also
important.
like some, yeah, it's so important. And there are also like a lot now of apps and like resources, online, where like you don't have necessarily like to spend so much for like a private tutor. You can like use alternative,
Yeah.
and yeah, making time for it. And also, I mean, the best way is going and speaking to native of the language you're learning, basically, because that's where you're going to learn the fastest, I guess. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That is practical advice that I'm sure the listener will be grateful that they heard and will implement themselves if they're
I hope so.
determined. If they're determined to be like Louise and enjoy the soul of each country. So thank you for that.
Nice.
And so Dead Sea Dream, how long has it been in the making from
Mm.
brainstorming to launch? When did you launch?
So we launched in October 2022. So it's been really in the making for 2.5 years. I mean, knowing that it was also during the time of the pandemic, which didn't which didn't make things that easy, especially from a travel perspective. Like I was
Yeah.
living in London, and all my suppliers were based in Israel. So I was like subject to lockdowns in the UK or lockdowns in Israel. Like, and of course, they never. When one country was under lockdown, it was never like the same in the other country.
Yes.
Go figure out why. But the whole world had lockdowns, but at different times, I feel.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's it's been 2 years and a half, yeah, of like formulation, building the brand, building the website, building the team.
And
So yeah. Mm-hmm.
how does it feel that the day, how did you feel when it launched, that day that you said, you know what, Dead Sea Dream is going to be available to anyone?
Yeah, so it kind of feel, I mean, I never gave birth, but I guess it could feel that way.
Yes.
It's Yeah, it's really I mean, it's a very proud feeling because for 2 years and a half, you like, I mean, I always had like targets or like dates. Okay, we're
Yes.
launching like this month of 2021, even, like, I think, and it always kept on being pushed back, and like to be finally there and to be like um to be finally able to sell to the market was like I don't know, so fulfilling and like such a great, happy feeling. But at the same time, it's also just the beginning, basically. You think
Yes.
you've come to an end, but you actually come to a new beginning. But I think it's a beginning that is like, and it's a work that is much more enjoyable because every day you're basically making your operations better, your team better, your product better. You're like, it's totally different to the pre-launch. You have frustrations, but it's different frustrations. Basically, you feel that you're moving forward, basically, much
Yes.
more than before.
Yes.
And so yeah, that's about it in in a nutshell.
It's incredible, and I know that you're being very modest about all of the hard work that you've put into the pre-launch and also even now. But thank you for
Yeah.
giving some of us an insight into what that feeling can be like for anyone that wants to pursue entrepreneurship and the likes. So stay tuned for the next episode.